In the quiet borderlands of northern Mexico, nestled within the state of Coahuila, lies the small town of Allende, a place that, for generations, had known the rhythms of rural life, the warmth of community, and the peace that comes with distance from the chaos of Mexico's sprawling cities. But in March 2011, Allende became the epicenter of one of the most harrowing and tragic episodes in the country's recent history: the Allende Massacre. This event would forever change the town, its people, and the national conversation about cartel violence, government complicity, and the enduring struggle for justice in Mexico. To understand what happened in Allende, we must look first at the forces that converged upon it. For years, the Los Zetas cartel had ruled much of northeastern Mexico with a reputation for brutality that set them apart even in a country already marked by violent criminal organizations. Born from the ranks of former elite military commandos, Los Zetas became infamous for their ruthlessness, their military tactics, and their willingness to erase entire communities to maintain control. In early 2011, a series of events set the stage for what would become the Allende Massacre. The United States Drug Enforcement Administration, or DEA, had been working to penetrate the Zetas' operations. Through informants and undercover work, they managed to gather sensitive information about the cartel's inner workings. But according to later investigations, a leak of this intelligence, meant to be kept secret, found its way back to the Zetas themselves. The cartel learned that some of their own operatives had been working as informants for U.S. authorities, betraying the organization from within. The Zetas' response was swift and merciless. Suspecting that residents of Allende and nearby towns had aided the DEA or harbored informants, the cartel unleashed a campaign of terror that would shock even those familiar with their methods. Over several days in March 2011, convoys of heavily armed Zetas descended upon Allende and surrounding communities. They went house to house, abducting men, women, and children, sometimes entire families, based on lists of suspected traitors. The violence was not random. It was calculated, systematic, and designed to send a message to anyone who might consider cooperating with authorities in the future. What followed was a nightmare. Homes were ransacked and set ablaze. Victims were rounded up and taken to nearby ranches, where many are believed to have been tortured and killed. In an effort to erase all evidence, the Zetas incinerated bodies and demolished buildings, leaving behind little more than scorched earth and unanswered questions. The exact number of people who perished or disappeared in Allende remains uncertain to this day. Official reports cite 28 deaths and 54 disappearances, but local victim associations and investigative journalists believe the toll is far higher, perhaps as many as 300 men, women, and children killed or missing. What made the Allende Massacre particularly chilling was not only the scale of the violence, but the apparent complicity, or at best indifference, of local authorities. Residents later recounted how the Zetas operated with impunity, facing no resistance from police or government officials. Some survivors alleged that local police even assisted the cartel by providing information or standing aside as the violence unfolded. For days, the terror continued unabated, and by the time it ended, Allende was a ghost town. Its population shattered, its homes destroyed, and its future cast into uncertainty. In the aftermath, families searched desperately for answers. Mothers and fathers sought news of missing loved ones, while others tried to salvage what remained of their lives. The Mexican government launched an investigation, but progress was slow and marred by a lack of transparency. Years passed with little accountability. Few arrests were made, and those responsible for orchestrating and carrying out the massacre largely evaded justice. For the people of Allende, the pain of loss was compounded by the frustration of official silence and impunity. In recent years, renewed attention has been drawn to the Allende Massacre, thanks to investigative reporting and advocacy by victims' families. Media organizations such as ProPublica and international outlets have exposed new details about the events leading up to the massacre, including the critical role played by the DEA intelligence leak and the failures of both Mexican and U.S. authorities to protect those at risk. These revelations have added new urgency to calls for justice and reparations for the victims. Despite these efforts, the scars of Allende remain. Many of those who disappeared have never been found, and the town itself still struggles to recover. The massacre stands as a grim symbol of the broader crisis facing Mexico, a crisis defined by cartel violence, government corruption, and the ongoing challenges of confronting powerful criminal organizations. It also highlights the tragic consequences of international drug enforcement efforts gone awry, where well-intentioned operations can sometimes have devastating effects on innocent communities. Today, the Allende Massacre is remembered not only as a tragedy, but as a rallying point for those who demand change. Victims' families continue to press for answers, organizing marches, commemorations, and legal actions. Human rights organizations have called for greater protections for communities caught in the crossfire of the drug war, as well as reforms to ensure accountability and transparency in law enforcement operations. The massacre has also sparked broader debates about the role of the United States and other countries in Mexico's security crisis, and about the urgent need for international cooperation that prioritizes the safety and dignity of ordinary people. In the end, the story of Allende is one of unimaginable loss, but also of resilience and the enduring pursuit of justice. It is a warning of what can happen when the machinery of violence is allowed to operate unchecked, but also a testament to the courage of those who refuse to let the memories of their loved ones be erased. As Mexico continues to grapple with the legacy of the Allende Massacre, the lessons it offers remain as urgent as ever: that the fight against impunity, corruption, and violence must be relentless, and that the voices of victims and survivors must never be forgotten.